My name's EILEEN, and I'm 72, and I'm very proud for all my life to have been a feminist and a mother and a grandmother, and I'm going to be a grandmother again shortly. So it makes me reflect how much I'm amazed, how much time has passed, in terms of fighting for women's rights, which I really started to do. I think I started to do it as a child. So I think I've always been something of a feminist, but certainly when I was in high school, then when I went to college, it reinforced those feelings. Probably because I was born in Chicago, but when I was 14 years old, my family moved to Miami. And that was the first time that I had ever really been in the South. And I saw the division of the races, which I had never seen before, and even more attitudes toward women than I had ever experienced in Chicago. And it was appalling. I think it made me more passionate about fighting for social justice. And the interesting thing is, in the South then, certainly in terms of integration, people used to say, and in a condescending way, but especially toward women and me, they would say things like, why are you fighting this? Why don't you relax? It's never going to change. So I guess that's one of, I don't know that I've learned very much in my life, but the two things that I've learned are always have plan B, and the second thing is things will always change. You can count on that. And I think that's helped me survive through a lot of situations that I've been in fighting for women's rights. So after school, I moved to New York, and there I got a job with a publishing company, McGraw-Hill, and I was there. And that was a very difficult experience too. It was wonderful because I was able to do the work I wanted to do and be in publishing. I had wanted to be a journalist, but I decided I wanted to be in publishing more. But at that time, women really had to start out as secretaries. I have to say, it did give us some advantages because we worked for people who thought we probably didn't know very much. And we learned a lot from these people. We learned to read memos upside down on people's desks, and we learned all the tricks, And men very often, at least there, would assume that women didn't know what they were talking about. So we were privy to all sorts of information that they would never give to a man, and therefore had this advantage in moving up. The attitude of men was sort of, I know they were threatened by us. So one example I remember is I was at a convention with a group of men from my division, and we were returning to our hotel rooms, and we were all on the same floor. And as we got to my room, one of the men turned to me and said, EILEEN, you better be careful because people will think you slept your way to the top, because I was walking with these men. And so I said to him, that's very ironic because that's what I heard about you. And so they never bothered me again. It's sort of hard to be to realize that you're like a link with the past. Felt that way, especially at the Women's March on Charlotte this January. And it was so great and so energizing to be there with women my age, with younger women, and with men, that men would march with us. I realized that was almost 50 years, I think it was about 47 years before, but 50 years before that I had marched on Fifth Avenue for the ERA amendment, which we were trying to get passed then, but also it was for women's equality, for equal pay for equal work, for pro-choice, the right to have an abortion, the right to women's prenatal health care for everyone. All these things that we were fighting for 47 years ago, we were still talking about now, even though during that period of for 47, 50 years, a lot of this became settled law. And it was so distressing to think that in such a short time, all these things that we fought for were being attacked. And that really gave me pause too, because, you know, the march that I marched on Fifth Avenue, it was called a women's strike for equality. I think that's what they called it. And women were supposed to strike that day and walk out of work and march on Fifth Avenue. And I think about 50,000 of us did. And I hadn't planned to go, but a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, and I said, let's get out of here, we're gonna go. And also we were very near Fifth Avenue. So we went, and we found ourselves behind Gloria Steinem and Bella Abzug and these leaders of the women's feminist movement, and there were cameras there. And so my friend turned to me and she said, oh my goodness, if we're on television and my mother sees me, she's going to kill me for doing this. And she said, what about your mother? And I said, well, no, actually, if my mother doesn't see me marching here, I think then she would kill me. She was always pushing me on, you know, to do more, to get involved. And, you know, I think that's really important. I think it's important for women to get involved in their civil responsibilities as well as their responsibilities to their family, and to realize that we really all have to work together to get out and vote. And so it can be done. It can be done. And I've always disliked the slogan, you can't have it all. Well, and it's always sort of aimed at women. And so while it's obviously true in life that you can't have everything, you can pretty much get what you want if you fight for it. And there are ways to work out your life so that you can have work and you can have children. But it can be done. We can't have it all.